Hey guys, Brandon here with Texas Plinking, and just for the sake of avoiding awkwardly talking to the camera at the gun range, just quickly tell you guys what I plan to do here just so the video is a little bit more structured. But anyway, here is the Bushmaster ACR. What we're going to do today is shoot at 100 and 300 yards at a different gun range than I usually go to, because this gun range allows me to, put paper up there, shoot for groupings, instead of just, hitting steel. I'm able to see the holes that it puts in paper. So anyway, some people were a little confused as to why I wanted to put a scope on there. I guess I didn't make myself too clear in the last video. The holographic sight I got for it, that's not on it right now, that's the kind of configuration it's going to run always. The only reason I have a scope on here, this is just my Leupold Mark AR. I just stole from my Arrow precision rifle. Anyway, the reason I have that is only for two videos. That's for this one. I need a consistent point of aim, like crosshairs on a Leupold, to consistently hit 100, 300 yards. If I'm just using a no magnification red dot or iron sights, that's going to show more error than is really there. So I want just a consistent point of aim for 100, 300 yards. That's this video. That's one video. And then the next video is, once I get that, I'm going to go ahead and punch in all the information on a ballistic calculator. And like I said before, I haven't seen any long range shooting with this gun, so I like to try to do that. Once I see how it acts at 100 and 300 yards, I go ahead and take it to a different gun range, which allows me to, well, they have 1,000 yards, not that I'm planning on shooting it with this, but this is a 16.5-inch barrel. With a 5.56 obviously, with the 1 7 twist, so it should carry the heavy stuff pretty well. I'm going to attempt 750 yards, which the furthest I've seen on YouTube is like 400, and it did pretty well. So I'll do 250, 500, 600, 600 meters, which is like what, 650 or something like that, and then 750. So that's gonna be the next video, but that's the way it is in this configuration. I will not usually have a magnified optic on a 16.5-inch barreled gun and then the bipod. But anyway, 2 minutes, I've gone on long enough. So that's just explaining this video. We'll go to the range, shoot 100 yards. I'm gonna obviously sight it in. I'm shooting two different kinds of ammunition. I got some Gorilla 77 grain Sierra Match King. And then I got some Hornady Black. This is 75 grain Botel hollow point, and we'll shoot for groupings for both at both ranges. So we will see how that goes. I'll see you guys there.
Okay, this is
like a 30-06.
Yeah, it's like a 30-06. Has the same ballistic, and you'll feel it like a bit of a glide, and then when it tightens, you'll feel the glide, and then it'll fire. Right here. Just push forward. So that's the gun.
Yeah, it shoots like the 30-aught.
On the other side. I only see, well, you got two in the head, one in the throat, and you shot his left ear. That's two shots.
Yeah.
Well, this is my brother's AR. When you said, hey, good. And then he is.
Once you get it on there. Oh, we're ready to shoot, huh? All right, we got a taste here. Yeah.
Alright guys, so we're back from the range, and if you've seen any of these kind of formatted videos from my channel, you know what's coming. The results as well as excuses. Let's start with the first excuse. This is my Leupold Mark AR, like I said, I just got from my Aero Precision rifle. And what I should have known, and this is kind of the case, obviously this is better than a non-magnified optic for this kind of stuff, but that's a 3x9, and 9 times magnification at 100 and especially 300 yards. And I have screenshots that I'll show you guys later while I'm talking about the targets. That's just not enough magnification to really get that consistent point of aim. So anyway, just bear that in mind. Also, the shooting position is terrible. I look probably really awkward. The bench is too high, the chairs are too low, and overall I just don't really like that horseshoe design for shooting. But anyway, let's start out with the first target, which was a sight-in. Now this actually looks really, really good because I was aiming right here, obviously, first shot high. And then that looked like after a certain measurement, I tried to make the adjustment, overdid it. So then I shot 2 shots, 1, 2. That looked pretty good. Made another adjustment, 1, 2, and I thought, that's good enough for doing a comparison video. I'm sorry, for a comparison shooting demonstration. So that's what I did over here. Now this one I went for groupings. On the left, as you can see, that's 75 grain. That's Botel Hollow Point from Hornady Black. And then on the right is 77 grain Sierra Match King. And I forgot what size these are. They're either 1/4 inch squares. Either way, I have a measurement thing. So here's a 5-shot group. I totally recall pulling this one. That's the other excuse. This trigger is unbelievably heavy. I've mentioned that before. I believe from the factory, it's like over 7 pounds, 8, 9 maybe. That's what the forum is saying. People on the forum are saying. It's incredibly heavy, and eventually I will get a 2-stage lighter weight trigger from like Geisley. But like I said before, that's $240, so I'm probably gonna hold off, especially because I'm not usually gonna run an optic on there. But whether I'm running an optic or not, I'm a trigger snob, and I want a good trigger. So I was aiming here. You might be seeing on the video, I forgot which one was first. I forgot the order. I remember this was like mid-pack, maybe 3rd or 4th shot, and I totally recall that one just going way heavenward. Because I mean, that's such a long trigger. Or not necessarily long, it just feels long because it takes a long time to just get the thing to engage because it's so heavy, and it takes a long time to engage when you're shooting for precision because you're not just jerking on the trigger. So I was trying to be very, very slow with it, and it takes a lot of weight, so I was kind of barely going up. And so here's a screenshot here. This is what this looks like at 9 times power at 100 yards. Good enough, plenty good enough to kill a rabbit at or something if you're doing varmint, or just shoot steel, which I'm going to do on the next video, which I'll talk about later. But for trying to get a grouping, yeah, that can easily happen. So let me get my measuring tape out here. If we include that flyer, which would be stupid too, that is like a 3 1/4 inch. If we discount that, I still pulled these things quite a bit, but that's 1.5 inch. If I look at my 3 best, that's about 1 inch. A better optic and a better trigger would have got this down to, I think, probably MOA, 1 inch, maybe even better. On the right, it does significantly improve, but that's not necessarily the ammo, which is the case over at 300 yards. But that's just maybe my own control. I don't know. Maybe this is the second time I was shooting for grouping, so I just ended up getting better. Let's include all of them here. That is like 2 inches exactly. If we discount that one, I think that's still going to be, that's about 1.5 inches. If we look at the 3 best, that is probably 3/4 of an inch. So yeah, that's a lot better. But again, just a heavy trigger, not a consistent point of aim. That's going to cause for some fault. Again, that's what makes these kind of lucky two-shot group there. Okay, anyway, 300 yards. I plugged it into my ballistic calculator. It told me to do 1.2 mils, which would be 12 clicks. That's what I did, and even then it was kind of low. But who really cares going for grouping? This is a 5-shot group with the 75 grain. As you can see, only 3 holes. So I would assume I'm low, but either way, let me get the measuring tape out. This would be pretty stupid to count this grouping because I don't even have all of them on there. 5 1/4 inch for these 3 shots. Again, this is the screenshot or the scope cam of 300 yards at 9 times power. I couldn't even see the black dot anymore. All I saw was just a blurry white square in that mirage. So yeah, I was just going for white, unfortunately, which is going to cause the spread. Over here is significantly better though. 77 grain Sierra Match King from Gorilla. At least all 5 shots are on paper. Get this again, go from worst to worst at 300 yards, that's 4 inches. So that's not bad at all. We discount that one. Now we are at, what is that? That is 3 1/4. discount that. And then we have like a little 1-inch group about, or 1.5, 1.25, if we discount those two flyers, but that's not fair to do that. So anyway, 300 yards, it's all within the hand. This one, I'm not too sure. So this 77 grain stuff was pretty good, very good actually, considering the nearly 9-pound trigger and 9 times power. Not really great formula for trying to get precision shooting. Again, this thing is mostly going to have an EOTech on there. I was just curious what it can do with this. But for now, I'm going to leave that scope on there just so I could bring it out to 500, 600, 650, 750, and then kind of just see how it goes. And I'm actually more confident in that with this scope because all I'm looking for is a hit on steel instead of actually like holes on paper, which will tell the story very quickly. With that said, I'm disappointed in myself, very impressed with the rifle. Just not the rifle's trigger, like I said. But once the thing has a solid trigger, and if you wanted to run a nice optic on it, it can be maybe an SPR, who knows? We'll see what it does at further range on the next video. When I will upload that, not too sure, but I'll probably be sure to get to the range within the week. So stay tuned for that. The moral of the story, I'm loving the rifle, as you guys will see in future videos. So I will see you guys then.